We're recording this session. If you have any concerns about that, please message us in the chat function. But we're going to record this session so that it's available for you to come back to at a later time, or you can share it with others, or we can share it with people who've registered for this session today. Hi, Patrick. So I'll get right to it. Hello again, and welcome to this is the last in our series of roundtable discussions. And some of you have been with us during our previous sessions, which we hope have been insightful for you. Today, we're going to discuss how using simple, quick changeover seasoning solutions can not just help reduce product waste, but also increase efficiency. We've usually had a North America panel, but it is a bit more global today. Joining us is Simon Hill, who is a regional sales manager at TNA UK. Simon is joined by our colleagues in TNA North America, Rodney McIntosh, who's a technical support engineer, and Adam Holloway, who's also a regional sales manager. Thank you all for being here. As I said during the previous sessions this week, we'd like this to be as interactive as possible. So all of you are welcome to ask questions at any point by using the chat function, or just unmute your microphones and ask your question. We'll definitely address these to the panel on your behalf if you're putting it on the chat. And you can also share feedback with us. But the idea is to keep these discussions as interactive as possible. We also have several resources that are available which are relevant to the discussions that we'll be having around seasoning solutions today. So you can look for these on the seasoning roundtable page. We're recording this session, so the recording will be available on demand in the next 24 hours or so. So if you would like to direct someone to the contents of this discussion, please feel free to do so. Adam, I'm going to start with you. We constantly hear manufacturers emphasizing on consistency when it comes to seasoning. Why do you believe that it is so crucial to the manufacturing process?
Well, consumers want a product that is good and tastes fresh. So applying uniform seasoning is a must. Consistently flavored and fresh tasting product allows customers to enjoy the last bite as much as the first. Failure to season chips and other products consistently will ultimately lose brands, the customer loyalty of consumers, and worse, may generate some unfavorable product reviews or customer complaints.
Rodney, what are your views on this? Rodney? Oh, you're on mute, Rodney.
My apologies.
Yes, no worries.
I was just saying to avoid the scenarios that Adam was just talking about. Manufacturers need to select systems that perform to the specifications of their seasoning needs, while offering cost efficiency for raw materials. The equipment should also provide reliable product handling, and I think the less a machine stops, and the less that product breakages occur, the better.
Thank you for that, Rodney. Simon, the underlying theme, and you were there in yesterday's session, was on, on processing precision. And integration was hailed like as a significant secret ingredient in precision processing. What, in your opinion, I mean, do you believe that there is a secret to precision processing?
Yeah, well, listen closely. The secret, no secret, and there is no secret generally. But one thing that I always find really interesting, and a lot of people often overlook it, is that an on-machine seasoning system or any seasoning system are generally one of the smallest pieces to a production line, but they can sometimes make the biggest difference, easily make the biggest difference to your end of use product. And so it should be considered a process. This seasoning system should be considered a process, just like an extruder is a process, or a potato chip fryer is continuous. So it doesn't stop, it continuously runs. And over those long runs, it gets a lot more accurate and a lot more consistent over those long runs. So the seasoning system should be very consistent. That's one of the first secrets, is, if you have to put it as a secret, is consistency. And the next one would be repeatability. So consistency and repeatability is the secret, being precise to answer your question, week in, week out. So you don't just hit that one KPI one day a week. So generally, those are the two secrets, if you like. I think I'll talk about that a little bit further on.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for that, Simon. Adam, what do you think needs to be done to achieve those kind of results that Simon's talking about?
To help with these kind of results, seasoners and baggers should have the ability to maintain running operations. Having bigger hoppers that can constantly run and refill automatically is ideal. However, supervisors also need to ensure that products in the seasoning hopper always match the product that is currently running. And there are no instances where one product's residual seasoning is accidentally run from a different product. The concept sounds simple, but it is crucial to success.
And Rodney, what is the role of equipment in facilitating precision seasoning?
Well, there's mainline seasoning, or what we call MLS. Systems should apply single layers of dry seasoning and or oil flavoring to salty snacks like tortilla chips and pork rinds, depending on our customers' needs. This is especially relevant to products receiving all of the same seasoning and flavoring with no changeover. By contrast, smaller or on-machine seasoning solutions need to feed the scale directly, applying both dry outer coatings and liquid oil or tack agents to foods. Flexibility is essential. If you have 5 lines, you can have different flavors on each line. And the main difference is point of application, where you're applying the seasoning. Mainline seasoners are a large run of product and put the seasoning on just after processing. On machine seasoning, running product that has frequent changeovers. Season at the end of the line and can have quick or frequent changeovers.
Thank you for that. And Simon, would you like to add to that? What are some of the other considerations that need to be kept into mind?
Well, yeah, I would. In seasoning systems, we have 3 classes, 1, 2, and 3. Generally, with class 3, we're only measuring the level and the height of the products coming into the tumble drum, and we're only measuring the height of the seasoning also going into the tumble drum. Class 2, we're weighing the product going into the tumble drum, and we're weighing the seasoning going into the tumble drum, as you can see in the video. And then class 1, we're doing the same thing, weighing the product and weighing the seasoning, but we're also doing an automatic refill into the hopper. So doing these things allows us to achieve the class 1 seasoning SD less than 0.11%, which is the standard target within the snack industry. Now TNA generally don't manufacture anything less than a class 2 system. Class 2 and below, you as a customer should demand of your suppliers to at least at a minimum supply you with a class 2 system. Effectively, you're just weighing product, because the 21st century load cells are not expensive. We should use them to our advantage and not waste seasoning. The other main point that we use is the hummus seasoning system is directly integrated into the roll bag packaging system. And by doing this, we can dynamically correct the amount of product throughput to match what the packaging system is pulling from the seasoning system. So therefore, maintaining consistency I was talking about earlier, it can maintain consistency through the system by doing that, dynamically changing as what's being pulled of it. And then you have to also make sure that anything that is done is repeatable every day of every week for any operator, not just the operator that was trained, but an operator 3 years from now that has never seen the system before, any operator.
Thank you for that, Simon. Before we move forward, I just wanted to once again invite our audience to ask questions if they have any, or share comments. I have a couple of more questions which had come in earlier, so I'm going to continue to ask those, but please feel free to send in your questions at this point. Adam, this one's for you, really. Isn't it possible that when manufacturers are working with multiple types of seasoned products, it could end up wasting seasoning unnecessarily? So, what do you think manufacturers need to do to overcome this challenge?
Well, while over-seasoning is not only wasteful and costly, it is inevitably leads to customer complaints. If consumers discover a product has too much seasoning to the detriment of its flavor, you've potentially lost a customer, and probably more, considering they are likely to tell friends or family about their experience. That can hurt future profits by taking away potential customers from the business. Under seasoning is the opposite problem, but it is the same effect. So getting it just right all the time, the Goldilocks effect, is the key to building consumer loyalty. Since we season directly onto multi-head weighers, we don't have this great excess seasoning, crumbs, or oil off conveyors.
Thank you for that, Adam. Rodney, would you like to add to that? Rodney, you're on mute again.
My apologies.
That's fine.
Yeah, customers can avoid these issues by selecting the correct seasoning system to ensure they coat consistently with the controlled application and controlled motion. As previously mentioned, our machines do weigh dynamically to ensure consistency.
Thank you for that. I have one last question for the panel before we open it up to the audience, or the audience can send in their questions now as well. Simon, changeover is also an issue in precision seasoning, right? What can manufacturers do to overcome that?
Interestingly, yeah, the changeover is probably the most controversial topic. This changeovers, you have to make sure you plan changeovers into your overall project feasibility. So whenever you're planning a big spend on a new product launch or an expansion of your product range, you have to choose on-machine seasoning systems or mainline seasoning systems. So on-machine seasoning systems will give you generally shorter runs, but a lot more flexibility and faster changeovers. And mainline seasoning systems will effectively feed maybe 10, 20 different packaging systems with the same flavor product right down the line. So that'll lend into the longer, larger throughput runs that you may do, but 20, 30 hours for one product, for example. So you have to first of all choose which is correct for your plant and your system. Which one do you want to go down? And both of the seasoning systems that TNA use a single tumbling drum. So we spray and season in the same drum. So there's at least that as a fast changeover part. We just wheel a new one in or place a new one into the drum if it's on machine seasoning system. Interestingly, once a changeover happens, it's important to remember that the setup is also part of the changeover. So once the cleaning crew has been in, cleaned all the parts, and then they almost leave the machine to the operator to then come back off their break or whatever they were doing to then set up the machine to make it run. So that's a little bit of the changeover that a lot of people forget. So the setup should be fast and easy. And with TNA's integration I was talking about earlier, effectively the operator can just press one button on the row bag, and that changes the recipe on the seasoning system as well. And what it also does is whenever the seasoning system was last running, it knows what settings were used to keep it consistent in its last run. So the next time it uses that product program again, it effectively picks up where it started or where it left off in the last run. So it doesn't have to learn all of that all over again. So that the consistency starts right from the first bag of seasoned product. You don't have to dump 100 first bags or something, which is almost common practice, but you don't really have to do that. And then there's a lot less, all of this stuff means a lot less operator attention is required to run the seasoning systems. They don't have to sit and babysit the machine and make sure it's working at all times and keep focusing on the one machine, make sure it stays inside of its KPIs. They can go off and do other tasks, which generally will reduce the stress in your workforce, which is an interesting point in this modern day and age, is reducing the stress in the workforce. So your machine selection should be something that is easy for them to use, and get your operators involved in the discussion long before you make any purchasing decisions. So have a good overall analysis basically with your operators, and let them also weigh in with their opinions and what they would like you to be giving them to operate.
Thank you for that, Simon. Adam, would you like to emphasize on any other advantages that operators have while using TNA seasoning systems?
Sure. On the front of the operators, obviously, is the employee safety. We've simplified the machines with interlocks to prevent the machines from operating during changeovers. We've made the removable pieces during changeovers of lighter weight materials. Operators are happier with the ease of use. This also helps prevent operators from getting annoyed or looking to cut corners at the end of the shift when making changeovers or changing seasonings. The integrated process also minimizes the raw material and utilize costs while making lines much more efficient.
Thank you for that. Thank you to all our panelists. We invite questions from the audience now. Please feel free to unmute yourself or send in the question on chat.
Any questions at all?
While the audience is thinking, is there something else that the three of you would like to add? Something that I may have not covered, but you think it's important to share with the audience?
Yeah, I had a thought that whenever I was writing some of the responses to these questions, when I was a young kid in this industry, I was 16 when I first joined it. I used to walk around these manufacturing lines, looking at the machines running, and never understood how they actually worked, or why they were designed in such a way that we weren't told about how they worked. And it wasn't until I actually spoke to the supplier that I actually got a good understanding of how the actual lines worked. And then as an engineer at that time, I could actually maintain it and make it work properly for us in that situation. I wasn't just guessing and going off of the actual engineers and the operators in the plant. I was actually going direct to the supplier, which was uncommon at the time, and actually understanding how the machines should be running. So I implore everybody out there that has, no matter what seeding systems you've got, go out and talk to your current suppliers and ask them how should it be running. Don't just guess and do what everybody else has been doing, and make sure and go to them, because everybody's got good standards. Nobody generally makes bad equipment, so it should be running to a good standard that it was signed off on one time in 1 year when it was signed off. So reach out and try and reduce waste where possible. So just make sure and do that. It's an interesting insight. Make sure and reach out to your suppliers. Keep them on at all times. Don't go doing your own things.
Thank you for that, Simon. Rodney, Adam, if you'd like to add anything at this point.
No, I'm good. I'm just waiting for some questions.
Same here.
This is just proof that I'm a very good moderator. I've asked all the questions. Nobody has any questions to ask. Okay. For those of you who feel that there could be a question coming up later after this session is over, you can still connect with us on this platform. There is a section for questions, and we'll make sure that we respond to you. So if you think of anything after this session is over, please feel free to come back to this platform and use the question section and send us a question, and somebody from our team will definitely respond to you.
Yeah.
Okay, then. There's going to be a long pregnant pause. So before that happens, I think, Michael, we can wrap up this session.
I think we can too.
Yes, on behalf of all of us at TNA, thank you all for joining us today. We've really enjoyed presenting these roundtable sessions over the last few days, most part of this week. And this is just a first in the series of roundtables that we will be hosting on this platform. We're looking at doing product launches, any innovations that we have to share with you. So if you want to be part of our upcoming programs, or you want to know what TNA is up to, you can write into us at info@tnasolutions.com, or you can follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. We keep posting regular updates there. Thank you all for being part of this session, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.